What's up, guys? This is Sam Talks About Games, and today I'm going to be talking about Metroid Prime 4 and how it relates to Nintendo Switch 2. As we all know, Metroid Prime 4 has been rumored to be complete for a while now, dating back to earlier this year. Nate the Hate, Nate Drake, however you want to call him. He's a very reliable insider, and he says that he believes Metroid Prime 4 will be out by the end of the fiscal year based on what he's heard. So, by March 31st, right? And Andres Restart, another YouTuber, also says that he has inside sources saying that Metroid Prime 4 is done, or he said he's heard it, that it's done somewhere. So, that's also important to consider because he has been right before with things. Like he was talking about Zelda trailer happening after PAX East, and it happened. So, it's important to consider his opinion. Along with that, Nintendo Switch 2, as of these past couple weeks, has been rumored so much. So I'm going to be going over all that and coming up with a theory on Metroid Prime 4 and Nintendo Switch 2 possibly colliding. So, to go over the Nintendo Switch 2 rumors. Nintendo Switch 2, as of this past week or two, has been gaining steam for spring release. So there's three rumors. There's one that is from Foxconn, who assembles the parts in Nintendo Switch, and they just outright said that Nintendo Switch 2 is going to launch Q1. So, Foxconn, being in the manufacturing process, would know this, obviously, because they manufacture Nintendo Switch, they manufacture for Apple, they're a very big company, they're based in Taiwan, so they're in Asia. So I think that almost confirms Nintendo Switch 2, but there's more. So, there's also a Chinese financial website. I forgot the name of it, but feel free to look it up. There is a Chinese financial website that is also hinting at Q1. Now, they would probably know this too because they're a big publication. It's like the Bloomberg of China. So, it's also important to consider their opinion. Along with that, NW Player 123, someone who accurately predicted the announcement of Switch in October 2016, is saying that they believe Switch 2 is coming out early next year, Q2, they said. But Q2 and Q1 aren't far off. I don't think they'd launch Switch 2 in the April to June period. I think it would be in March, because that's fiscal year ending. But the point is that they think it's coming out before holiday. So, with these three rumors combined, the rumor about Metroid Prime 4 being out by the end of the fiscal year, could Metroid Prime 4 launch a system? Can it do it? Does it have the sales potential like Breath of the Wild did? Well, here's the thing. No one was really sure how the Nintendo Switch was going to turn out, because Zelda was never like a super big seller. Its biggest seller was Twilight Princess, which sold 8 million, and that's compared to 2D Mario and stuff at the time. It was nothing. You know, it was good, but it wasn't enough to launch a system. Breath of the Wild sold 30 plus million copies over its lifetime. It had a huge launch, and it had legs. And Tears of the Kingdom looks like it might outsell Breath of the Wild as a sequel, and that's really crazy. So, my point is, Metroid's never been a big seller. Now, do I think a Metroid Prime 4 is going to sell 30 million copies? No. Can it hit 10 million? Maybe. I think it does pass 5 million. But whether it hits 10 million or not, I don't know. Maybe 8 million is a safe bet. But my point is that it's still a respectable number to launch a console. Twilight Princess launched the Wii with 8 million copies. So I think it's within the realm of possibility, maybe even likelihood of launching Switch 2. Sure, there's 3D Mario, but as of late, 3D Mario hasn't been launching consoles. It's always came out in the first year, or maybe a little after. Like, 3D World came out a year after the Wii U came out. Odyssey came out later in 2017, so within about 7 months of release. But it didn't launch the console. So, it seems if Nintendo Switch 2 launches in March, there might not be a 3D Mario at launch. It might be later in the year, especially considering all the Mario stuff we're getting. Like Mario Wonder at the end of this year, Mario RPG. I feel like if there was a 3D Mario that soon, it'd be like too much Mario, you know? So I do think this is Metroid's time to shine. And I think it could shine with the new console with 4K graphics, 1440p, 60 FPS, 4K 30, you know. I think it could do it. Will it? Do I truly think this is going to happen? I'm going to give my percentage thoughts on what I think. I do think Switch 2 is probably going to launch in spring. So about a month ago, I was thinking like 70% holiday, 30% spring. I didn't really ever consider like a mid-year launch, like a Q2, or even really a Q3. I mean, maybe September, but it's still kind of a strange time. But I was always thinking like March or October or November. And a month ago, I was thinking October or November. With all these rumors with Foxconn, someone who's involved in the process saying Q1, Switch 2 is launching. With all the ports and remasters, there's more ports and remasters this year than any year of the Switch. And there's actually more ports and remasters than new games this year. So, this is exactly what the 3DS did at the end of its life. So I think we're in 2016 of the 3DS. I think that's the year we're in right now. I think we're within about 8 months of release, if it releases in March. So that's kind of crazy to think about. But as we all know, Nintendo likes to announce hardware and release it like right away. They announced the Switch in October 2016. They released it in March 2017, so that was a 5-month announcement to release window, and that was a huge console. Like, they had to succeed with the Switch, otherwise they might have had to drop out of at least the home console business. Maybe they could have continued their handhelds, you know. But the Switch was successful, and they no longer have to worry about that. They're on top of the world right now. So Nintendo Switch 2, hypothetically, it would only need 5 months for an announcement to release window. And we're within 8 months of March. So there's a lot of time for them to announce it. Now, are they going to announce it in October again? Or are they going to announce it in like August or September and have like a longer hype window? Are they going to have a Switch 2 presentation, like they did a Switch presentation, and have 20 million games for the first year? I do think they're going to have 20 million games for the first year because of all these ports and remasters. They're very obviously withholding games for the next gen. It's very obvious, and I can't blame them for it, because the Wii U, the 3DS kind of had a rocky launch, like not a ton of games. But the Switch had a great launch, and it has legs. The console sells. So I do believe Switch 2 year 1 is going to be ridiculous. Now, I'm going to talk about the transition to Switch 2 now. Will Switch 2 have a smooth transition? Honestly, I do think so, but I think there's a chance it doesn't. Let me explain. I do think there's going to be backwards compatibility. They would be not only shooting themselves in the foot if they didn't have backwards compatibility, they'd just execute themselves, because the whole thing with the Switch and the Switch 2 is just to carry on that hybrid concept and carry on backwards compatibility. So I think they are going to have backwards compatibility. The question really is, how long are they going to support Switch for after Switch 2? Now, I do think they're going to support Switch based on the fact that they supported the 3DS for years after the Switch came out, through 2019. So about 2 years after the Switch came out, they phased out support for the 3DS. That's a pretty long time, actually. So, assuming Switch 2 comes out in March 2024, Switch could easily be supported through 2025, through the end of 2025. And I think I would consider that a smooth transition. Furthermore, with backwards compatibility, though, if they're using the same type of cartridge medium, just like they look like Switch cartridges, I think it's obviously going to be simple for physical games to be played on Switch too. But I do think if it's like another type of cartridge, that they're going to have a way to put your Switch cartridges in there. Similar to 3DS. So 3DS, it was actually just a one slot to put a cartridge in. And you could put your DS cartridges in there, and like the 3DS cartridges had this little thing on the end that made you not be able to put them in a DS because they were bigger on one end. So I think Switch is going to do something like that. I think Furukawa, the CEO, the president, he's a businessman, and businessmen like money. He was an accountant. Iwata was great, but Iwata was like a creative guy, and Furukawa was about the money. And what other way to get the money than have backwards compatibility and have your already evergreen titles continue to be evergreen? I mean, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe doesn't need to be a thing. Just have backwards compatibility, and 8 Deluxe is going to sell. And I think the whole argument that they're not going to have backwards compatibility because ports sell is kind of stupid because, like, no offense, but I do think it's kind of stupid because the ports are Wii U ports and nobody owned a Wii U. 14 million people owned a Wii U. I mean, nobody owned it compared to like any other Nintendo console. So of course the ports were going to sell. I mean, it's new games to most people. They were new games to me. I didn't own a Wii U. I wish I did. Looking back, I mean, the Wii U's pretty cool. So I did wish I did, but I didn't. And the games were new to me. And there's still games stuck on the Wii U I haven't played, like Xenoblade Chronicles X and Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD, although I have played the originals. So, I do think Switch 2 is going to launch in March 2024. And I think it's going to launch with Metroid Prime 4. It's a long shot, but it's starting to become less of a long shot. It's starting to become even likely. I'd say it's 70% going to launch in March or spring, that period. The first half of the year, let's just say. But probably March. And there is a slightly small chance it launches with Prime 4, but I think there's a chance it launches with Prime 4. And if not that, 3D Mario. And that's it. See ya.